So,
Learning.
still learning, yeah.
No, burning.
Burning. Yeah. It normally happens after the Raj course, because while you're going through it, and while you have all the full support system of everyday studying, you're connected all the time, right? When you're doing this at such an intense rate, and then suddenly you stop. Because you don't do it at such an intense rate when it's not a course, right? And then you have to mix this world reality with your spiritual reality, and it doesn't answer my questions anymore. It just doesn't work anymore, and you get through that phase. It's a normal phase. It's really very normal. In the end, it's exactly what Gurudev said, very, very simply. It's all there. It's our actions that keep us away from it. Nothing to do with God doesn't love us, only to do with what we don't love in ourselves or in others and in this world. What we don't. Everything that we don't love or don't like causes us pain. Anything we also want a lot and can't get causes us pain. So, you don't want aversion, you get pain. If you want, you get pain. So what do we do with all of this? Look at it all and just say, you know what? It's all your plan, I'm just going to enjoy it. And that's what I decided to do. I don't know what that plan is. All that I know is that I have to keep my peace as much as I can and not let anybody disturb it. And I know when I'm in peace, and I keep my plan at peace, even though it might disturb others, then I'm in that channel of peace. And this is what you do. Try to maintain your own peace. All the scriptures teach us the same. We're divine, we're divine, we're divine. Look at this ring. It's actually gold, but it's white gold, right? Everything is cause and effect in this world. Before it became a ring, what was it? What was it? Gold. From that lump of gold, how many things have the jeweler must have made? How many things? A necklace, a bracelet, some gold, some white. Some mix it with diamonds, some mix it with something else. But it's still the gold. I melt this down, what will I get? Gold. So it's like us. We go through a lot of things in our life. That's why we get names and forms. But when we melt us all down, we are spirit. If you understand this constantly, in everything you do, and this is the battle, you see, to tell us to constantly remember this, then there will be no upheaval, great upheaval in your life. There will be upheaval in the sense that things will go wrong, but it's not going to be great. It's not going to disturb you, because you understand so clearly who you really are. You're that lump of gold. People just call you a ring. That's all. And it's only temporary. Today somebody I called somebody, Lakshmi in Portugal. She had gone to this hen party in somewhere, and I said, how did it go? And she said, oh, it's a really good movie. And I looked her up, so it was a really good movie. She said, so many people so lost in this world. And I saw what a growth in her. She really saw it as a movie. So I said, then did you have a good time? She said, I enjoyed the great movie. So she had separated herself from everything. And I was so proud of that because there was no judgment. Do you see? The judgment was lost because she said, oh, this person behaved this, or this person got drunk, and as maybe she would have done in the past. She said, it was a great movie. And I'm so glad to come back to this movie and this world. You see, it's interesting. So then there's no disturbance, there's no judgment. You go through life. It's very interesting. This is the part of the movie that not so nice, but I'm going to enjoy it anyway. And that's how you work with your mind, and that's how you work with yourself constantly. Until you realize that life is full of good chapters and bad chapters. So tell me, today's topic is on relationships. So what would you like to know? The questions are over to you, if you have any. Relationships, that's the topic today. Anything you would like to ask about relationships. And if I can answer, I will try. No questions.
Somebody was saying today around this morning in half a class, and I mentioned it was relationships this evening, about communication, how sometimes with partners you find that the communication is where a lot of the problems lie with each other. Yeah?
It's a really good place to start. And this is the problem. Communication. Yeah. No truthfulness. Fear of being truthful. You know? And this is where it all falls apart. I remember many, many years ago, a friend of mine taught me a great lesson. This is even before I got into yoga, even before, way before. I must have been about 23, 24, and I just got married. And we were talking, and then she said to me, I told this to my husband, blah, 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 blah. And I go, oh my God, I would never say that to my husband. She said, why? I'd be too scared. And she said, what? You're frightened of your husband? I go, no. And then when she left, I thought about it. And I said, she's absolutely right. I am frightened to tell him the truth. But you know, of course, it's okay to be frightened, because if I won't tell him the truth, I know he will lose his temper, he'll get in a bad mood, he will, you know, go in a corner with a long grumpy face for 2 or 3 days and not talk to me. So I'm really frightened of him for a good reason to avoid that. But what was happening there? I was hiding from my truth. Because if you look at the bottom line, it was me who was fearful that he might get in a bad temper. I presumed he would. And I said, oh, but I learned this from the past. Every time I said this, he would react like this. So why do it? But what happens then, there's an untruthfulness in the communication. There's an untruthfulness in the relationship. You are feeling something and you're not saying it. You're just thinking it, which is even worse, because then you live with it. No wonder I was hospitalized nearly every year, twice a year for asthmatic attacks, you know. Because you're not telling sore throat, bad sore throat. I mean, I got a sore throat today. Not a sore throat, wheezing today, but that I know is physical. I came from Tanzania and we stayed in a place that was so dusty and I could feel the dust. Because for 5 or 6 days it's so dusty, old mattresses, etc. So when I got to London, I realized, it's gone into my chest, you know. So I started taking antihistamines a bit late. So this time I know it's physical. But in those days, it wasn't that my bed was dusty or anything was dusty. It was, my mind was dusty. And when I started yoga and started to, I remember the words of my friend very clearly. You're frightened. And because I was frightened, not only did I did not communicate the truth beautifully, I communicated the worst bits of the truth negatively. Do you know what I'm saying? The worst bits negatively. Like, I don't like this about you, it's all your fault. Negatively, right? All your fault. It was a total blame because I couldn't even in my soul accept that I could be wrong about what I was thinking. I couldn't even accept that I could be wrong. Why? Because I was the one who did the good things, right? So it was a long process with the yoga and the meditation to see this fault in myself. A long, long process. And when I started to see that really underlying all of this was fear, then I realized the lesson that came to me was not because my husband had a bad temper when I told him the truth, was because he had to have that bad temper for me to learn to say the truth beautifully. And then if he couldn't accept that, I will decide what to do after that. My decision will only come after I test the truth beautifully. And of course, in Sri Patanjali, what do we learn? Speech should be, do you remember the 4 things? Pleasant, tranquil, truthful, and beneficial. Beneficial. To both sides. So what's the perfect action? One
does no
harm to anyone, some benefit to someone, yourself included. So you put those two together, right? And so that's what I started, my experimentation with the truth. And, and I realized that my problem was I was blaming, communicating badly. So what I learned after that, I learned that when I started counseling, most marriages, most relationships communicate badly. So after a while, they stop communicating. They start to say, what is the point? And of course, when you can't speak truthfully to somebody you love very much, the relationship loses its energy, it loses its force, it loses its beauty, the reason why you're together with someone is because of companionship. I mean, ultimately, in the beginning it might be all the other attraction, etc., etc., but really, ultimately, it's a soul connection. That's when it really works. Yes, you have a question, good.
Yeah, recently, this is something I've discovered in relationships, but it's also something I've been told at work. I don't always manage to live up to talking those 4 ways, but I really try a lot, and also at work I do. So sometimes then I become so gentle and try to be peaceful, and then I've been told, especially at work, people don't even listen anymore to what I say. And I
Okay,
think
interesting.
that's a very true thing, because I'm not even being heard because it doesn't sound like that.
Okay, so you're too gentle.
Sometimes, yes.
He says you're not. So, you have to be gentle but strong. This is the difference.
I have been told that at work,
Yeah, you have to be gentle but strong.
I have to be a lot more strong, otherwise people don't hear what I say.
That's right. You have to. Gentleness doesn't mean you're not strong. Our master used to say, roar like a lion, but be as meek as a dove. We say, Nalanie, roar. You don't roar, they don't hear you. And that's the truth. Roar. That's why when you have your exams and you did the talks, even when I gave you one criticism, it happened because there's prana behind it. There's a truth, but at the same time, there's a conviction that this is so totally truthful and it's done in love, and that's effective. But if you're too gentle, it's almost like, okay, I can do this again and again and again. Because you know what? You're so gentle. How many parents have I told that to? You're too gentle with your children. Oh, no, you said we should be sweet, nice, speak nicely. Speak nicely, but if they do something wrong 1,000 times and they're not listening, be a bit tough. That's why you're a parent, guide them. Be a bit tough. Let them be scared a little bit. Sometimes it's good for them, If my parents weren't strict with me, I don't know what would happen to me today. I'd probably go nuts, I needed that. We all appreciate it when we get older. So you need to be a little strict and a little strong for people to get the message through.
You have told me that, right? Also.
Yes, you're too gentle. Yeah. Sometimes you say, no more. That's it. I've had enough. Sometimes truthfulness has to be that way. You have to see also the circumstances and the right time to say the right thing. That's also really, really important. Okay, today you suddenly come to a class like this and you go out and you say, okay, I want to communicate with my partner truthfully, and I'm going to do it tonight. This thing has been bothering me for a long time. I haven't said it. I'm going to say it tonight because now I have the energy. Right time for you, but maybe wrong time for that person. So don't go and do that. You might have to hold back till you find the right time. And timing is so brilliant. It can change like a person like this if you choose the right time. So also having the wisdom to choose, just because it's the right time for you does not mean it's the right time for somebody else. Maybe it's not their time to listen. No matter how gentle you are, they will not hear you. So choosing the right time, the right atmosphere, but saying the truth and not blaming with the truth. That's another thing that I learned. I was doing your fault. You're like this, you're that. And then I realized with yoga very quickly, he was all that behavior because I was doing this. And Gurudev always said, you shoot one finger that way, how many more pointing back at you? 3. And guess what? Even the trigger is facing you. So, and that really sunk in with me.
That's a new one. That's a new one. I was asked the witness.
I thought I didn't say the other two. Because he said it so often. In all his talks, he would bring up this one, And so that is the truth. If you talk to anybody with blame, the moment you start saying, because you did this, there's going to be a defense. So even maybe the person is maybe not so right, don't blame. Just say, this has happened and it's made me feel like this. Your action has made me feel like this. Now I have to ask you, why does it make me feel so bad? Right? Why do I feel so bad? And that's what I used to do with my husband. I used to say to him, why do I feel so bad when I feel I have to tell you something truthful? And really, now that I know that you're going to shout at me anyway, you must realize one thing, I told him, that I must love you so much, so very much, to tell you this, when I know every time I tell you so nicely, you're going to scream back at me. Think about it. I'm smart. I wouldn't tell you if I didn't love you so much, because I know you're going to shout back at me. That's your reaction. So you must now think about how much I love you and care for you to tell you this.
Twist my brain.
Mind blowing, right?
Yeah.
Woman.
Yeah, you have a great mind for that. You can work things round. You've really got a brilliant talent. And do you know what? He did. He did think about it. He said, yes, my reaction is always this way. So I said, if you disagree with me, talk to me without that reaction. React to me differently. React to me as an adult, not as a child. So his reaction changed. It did work. It did work. So, yes, Pilar, you had something to say.
But also that you loved him, and that even if he was shouting back to you, you would, because you loved him, you told him, but also the other, that was because you had lost your peace in some way, you didn't say it, right? Because you could love him a lot and know that he's shouting me back, and if I don't lose my peace, and I can't wait to tell it, maybe years later, right? But you're going to stand with that thought.
You have to accept that. Sometimes you do lose your peace. You will lose your peace for a little amount of time. But make it short, the amount of time you lose your peace. Do you know what I'm saying? Are you understanding me? Because sometimes in order to say what you have to say, you might be a little disturbed in the mind. Only at that little time, but you are aware that you are disturbed in the mind. Because you are aware that you are disturbed in the mind, you will not get involved in the disturbance of the mind. Because it is never pleasant to say the truth to someone when you know it's going to hurt them. It's never easy. It's never going to be easy. And you will always have a little disease, discomfort is the word, before you do it. You will always have it. But what you start to realize is the discomfort is coming from here, and that really you are okay. If you understand it, even that discomfort will be normal to you. Are you understanding what I'm saying? You look like you haven't understood me.
But it is only if I have lost my peace that I need to say it, to confront and tell him the truth, something that is bothering me.
Of course.
If it bothers me, but I haven't lost my peace, and I can keep that for me, and instead of confronting that problem, right?
But
because he's not going to change, maybe, or it's going to make him shout at me again and again and again. So there's no point in repeating that.
No, if you feel that it's really going to make you lose your peace and he's going to keep going on at it again and again and again, and it's really no point, then you just have to sit and balance yourself.
Okay.
And then you have to understand that there's two ways you can go. You can run away and leave the whole situation, or you stick with it and see if you get contaminated with your good virus, with your peaceful virus. And it's really up to you how long you can stick with it and how long you can do it. Some people can, some people can't. Everybody is different. And this is what you... But if you get to a point where you can't live anymore and your health is suffering, as I've seen many people, and they are so disturbed because they can't keep their peace and they can't communicate, then they have to leave. I've seen that. To maintain their sanity. They really go to such a stage of getting sick every day, and that doesn't serve any purpose as well. Because then you've got two lives ruined instead of one life. So you have to weigh. It's such a delicate situation. It's such a deep situation. That's why you have to know yourself so well. You have to know yourself so well. This is why I love the Raj Yoga. I'm coming to you right now. That's why I love the Raj Yoga. It says you have to find it within you. Look within yourself so deeply. And that's why it says start with observing how you speak, how you act, what vibrations you're giving out to people. Do you know, so many people think, they'll tell me, oh, I'm not like this. I don't do this, this. And they haven't realized that they do. Oh, I'm a very friendly person. Many people have said this. I'm a very friendly person. And when I see them in public, they're not friendly. Why do you think you're friendly? But I am friendly. You're feeling it friendly inside. But nobody can see that you're friendly on the outside. But they can't see it. For example, there's one example. Another person, oh, I'm a very, very good person. I don't know why I don't have any friends. Must be a reason. If you're such a good person, why don't you have any friends? Do you do anything for anyone? Do you call your friends up? No. They should call me. Okay. Then are you really such a good person? Why do you think the whole world should call you? Your friends should call you. People should call you. Have you called them on their birthday? Have you paid attention to them? And once I had a student who was going through a very difficult time many years ago. And, I called her and, then she got very angry at the rest of the Sangha members. She told me on the phone, none of the Sangha members have called me, I've gone through such a bad time, nobody has called me. She was so angry at them. And so I turned around to her and I said, well, did you know that this Sangha member went through this bad time? Did you know this person had also gone through this? Did you know that that person had also gone through that? Why haven't you called them? Have you called them? You were too busy in your own pain, in your own suffering, and you expected everybody to call you, but you didn't call one of my sisters and brothers when they were in pain. Did you? I called them, but did you call them? And she goes, no, I didn't. So I said, why do you ask? Do you see? Many people can't see themselves. So I think the most important thing to do is learn about yourself, what your good qualities. You can't see that the way you speak maybe is too gentle sometimes and too soft. So people won't listen to you. So you said that they told you that. So now what do you have to do? More prana into your words. That's all. But you can't see it because in your mind, even that, because by nature, your nature is very gentle. So you have to put effort in to make a point. So if you know that about your nature, you have to put more effort in to make a point. That's all. Simply. And when you know yourself, you can do it, and you will do it. And if you know, for example, your nature is too aggressive, you pounce all the time, if you know that's your nature, then you'll work on it. You know how many times Kamala always tells me, my nature's so controlling. I wish I didn't have I love to control things. And she keeps getting experiences where control is shown right to her. Isn't it true? It just shows you. But you see, she admits it, she knows it, and she's working on it. And that's great. And you can see the progress. Because as she's becoming more and more truthful to herself, more and more people are attracted to her energy, and that's the way it works. Because she's getting truthful to herself, and she's even making a joke out of it. She's not letting it upset her anymore. You know, what can I do? This is my nature. I'm working on it. I'm working on it. And she's really working on it. But she found what was wrong in which chip needed to be changed. There's nothing wrong. It's just we all come to change little chips, like when a computer goes wrong, you put a new chip in or delete a virus and put a new program in. That's all reprogramming. After all, you have to understand these bodies are machines. Our body is our machine. If you understand that, you won't be so frightened of all these things that happen. It is a machine. Look at the way we're wired, from the brain down to the toes, to the hand. We're literally wired with nervous system. And that's our communication point. When this is open, we can communicate with the higher energies, which is where? Which is everywhere. Which is everywhere. So look, the heartbeats, this goes wrong, we put, pacemaker, we even put machinery parts and nails when you break a leg or a toe. We're a machine. So we can, and this is what the science of yoga tells us, is that we can compute. Okay, it may not be perfect, but we can recompute our computer. We can. And you have to believe you can. When you know you can, when you know with all your heart, this is a machine, and you can recompute that, you can do the job. You can do it. You can do any job. This is why all the masters say, if you have complete faith, nothing is impossible. Because it's your faith. It's your faith. If you have the complete faith in what you do, you can do anything. But you have to have the faith. It has to come from you. Even, when somebody was chasing Lord Jesus and said, please, come to my house and heal my servant. What does he say? By your faith, he will be healed. By your faith. His faith was in Lord Jesus. But it was his faith in Lord Jesus that cured the person. It's your faith. Faith is like a laser beam of light that shoots the vrittis, the mind stuff that's all around us. The energy because it's just like this laser light that will just shine through all the rubbish. And that to me is faith. So it is your faith in the divine ability in you, the divine ability that you can do anything when you really understand it. So, Monica, you had a question.
You kind of answered that, but I still ask it. I created the idea fix of taking a shortcut, and in whatever situation when I had the right sense in my head, to communicate with the other person's higher self, which I'm trying to do here with Tommy. He's trying to leave the classroom to play outside. I really don't like it. But his higher self is not ready to communicate with me. Could you give some tricks how to do it instantly?
Because he is in his normal self. Tommy, he's a boy. How old are you, Tommy?
9.
9. And a 9-year-old boy wants to play in the garden. Can he, please? Can I communicate with his self? That's how you do with it. Can you play in the garden? Or is it not good for him?
It's good for him to listen to you.
But he's had to listen to teachers all day in school, and he's exhausted, and he can't do with another listening. And whenever he wants to listen to me, he will be there sitting.
He can listen to the trees.
Yeah, he can use. So with your permission, Mom, can he go out and play in the garden?
It's completely out of my hands now.
Go, Tommy, go have fun. But don't make too much noise, all right? And look after yourself.
He was so good in the children's class, really listening and very attentive. Wasn't
Yeah,
he?
he's tired.
He's very good in the children's class.
And do you want to go out and play too? What is your name? What is your name?
Kiara.
Hi, Kiara. Nice to meet you. Would you like to go out too, or are you happy here?
I'm happy.
Okay, then you can stay. Yeah, thank you. So, That's how you communicate with the higher self.
Yes, but if somebody, a stranger
Yes.
on the market, for example, without me even looking at him as a Buddha, you know, things that can be really ugly have risen in their heads since November, since I started coming here, and not every time I land on my feet. I don't react, but it starts bothering me because that being is suffering. And
Yeah,
maybe-
but you know we can't be responsible for that. You can't be responsible for that. If you want to be responsible for something, feel responsible for doing some good in the world. But not for that being who's like that and can't change, and you have no way to change that person. Don't waste your energy, your mind stuff on that. And when you get disturbed by it, you just say, you know what? It's in your hands. It's in your hands. All I can do is bless this person.
Okay.
All I can do is bless. That's all what I do when people are horrible
One of
to
the
me.
instant things.
Yeah.
So yes.
I just bless them. I said, you know, thank God they're in my life. At least I know I'm strong enough to bless them. I can practice yoga. I can really practice yoga now. How can I practice if people are not horrible to me? You can only practice when they are. And then, you know, but you know you don't want to be in their company, but you can bless them. That's really cool. And you can really love them. I've realized I can do that. That's really, and that frees you. That frees you. You know, and that's what I do when somebody's really horrible to me. I bless them. I really do, with all my heart and soul, that they find their peace. Because they can't be peaceful. And I'm so grateful for the science of yoga that even though they can be so horrible, I can still end up laughing. I'm very grateful for that. It's a good test. That's how I see it, as a test. A great test for me.
So do you agree with the sentence, God only sends us angels?
Yes.
Shoot us.
I think we're all angels, we've just forgotten. Some have dropped to demons. That's why you always have the angel and the demon in all spiritual stories. It's our choice. I really do believe it's all just a play. It's, you know, I really do believe that when we follow the path of love, the Lord of love, we can save ourselves, but nobody can do that for us. That's the truth. Nobody can do it for us. I really, really can see that. We can only do it for ourselves. And the only way to do it for ourselves is precisely as you say, see everybody as angels. They may look like fallen angels, but they're still angels. And we need them to build. We need them because without them, how are we going to become strong? You know? I am today very, 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 very grateful to all the people who have hurt me a lot, because they've hurt me so much that I had to find God. If it wasn't for the pain, I wouldn't be searching for God. I'd be so happy. I remember one time I met somebody when I first came into yoga, the first 8 years, just a novice at it. I still feel a novice at it too, to be quite honest, but I was even more a baby at that time. And she said to me, oh, I see you're a lot happy. I said, yeah, because I found my peace and not so reliant on other people to make me happy. I feel a bit free that I can be happy with myself. And then I said, you know, what about you? She goes, well, I don't need all this stuff to learn about all this stuff because, you know, I'll do it maybe when I'm old. I'll talk to God when I'm old. My life is perfect as it is. And when she said that, I had to keep quiet because I thought, oh my God, she's had a blessed life. She must have been about 33 or 34 at that time. But no matter how blessed your life is, sooner or later, we all have to face obstacles and pain. Would you agree or not? Mm-hmm. And the thing that she feared most happened to her 3 years later. And I'll never forget her words. She came to me and she said, I thought life would always be blessed, and you're right. There are circumstances we have to learn. So she had a difficult 3 years going through that pain, terrible pain, But she got out of it after 3 years by learning the science of working with your mind, working with yourself, you know? And you find yourself, because we're all the self, right? We are all the one self. And you find yourself. You will. You know, and if you make mistakes, God, we're human too. We're human too. And we need to experience that human side of us too. Because that's why we chose to come to Earth. We need to experience that. And you know, many times if you get very upset in a situation, I remember when people were so horrible to me, and in the early days, and I would say, you know, if I knew that person was going to die tomorrow, how would I react? I'd act totally differently. Because I had the higher thought in my mind. If the person died tomorrow, how would I react? And that's how I started to train my mind when I got negative in front of me. If this person died tomorrow, how would I react? Would I like my last words to be horrific? Would I like my last words to be insulting? Would I like my last words to be full of ego? No. And then you can stay back a little while till you work out the situation in your mind, and then the next day know how to react. I hope these little hints will help you, because I remember they helped me a lot. I knew this person, I would not say these words, you know? And then not only that, the secondary thing happened. You want to make peace with all those people that have hurt you in your life. You want to make peace. I mean, you don't need to with the man on the street, because you're never going to see them again. What you need to do is people who are close to you that have hurt you. And it's normally family, right? Isn't it? That you get the most pain from the people who sometimes are the closest to you. That you need to make peace with them first. Because what if they should die tomorrow and you haven't made your peace? What are you going to live with? So the secondary step came to me. And I remember going to this person that hurt me a lot, and I said to them, look, I've come to make peace. I know you don't like me, and I don't like you very much. But that's besides the point. We can live at peace without hurting each other. Why don't we make a peace pact right now, and let's make peace. So at least we're together, we can be pleasant. We don't have to like each other. Is that ideal? And of course she said to me, on my dead body, I'll never make peace. So I said, okay, be it on your head. If you ever need me, call me. And the funny thing is, I saw this person recently, and she was so sweet to me that I actually physically went like this, physically in front of her. So nice to me, and I got like, what? You know? I couldn't do it. I couldn't react in a nice way. You know, not because I wanted to or didn't want to. It was just a physical shock, and she was over nice to me. And of course, you know, the next sentence said she wanted something from me. So went back to the same thing. I don't like you very much. You don't like me very much. But let's make peace. She couldn't answer. Do you understand what I'm saying? It's the peace that counts in the end. You can't get it right all the time. And I've always, you realize there's some people that you can like, but you can love. You can love everyone. And I think to me that was the greatest lesson. You really can love everyone. And that's getting to the higher self right there, how we can communicate. You really love everyone, because you really realize, I really love that, fallen angels, you know? That's all. But while you are not liking them, try to stay away from them. Because too long in the company of not liking somebody will create friction. And even the strongest of people will grow weak. And this is why Shankaracharya, a great Hindu saint, said, Satsangate nisangatvam, which means be in the company of satsang, of truth, people who speak the truth. When you are with people who speak the truth, your mind will be distracted from that which is not truth, the negative. When your mind is not in the negative, your mind will be elevated, and then you will be a jivan mukti. You'll be a human soul who's free in this world. So stick with good company, and then constantly being in satsang, constantly being in good company. You cannot be in bad company. This is why you all excelled in your Raj Yoga's teacher training, because you were constantly in the best company of all the Yoga Sutras or Sri Patanjali, all the time. Now, if you continue to be in the company of good people all the time and make great Sangha members as friends, you may not like each other some of the time, but you will always be truthful all the time. And that's a great start, because you're comfortable, you're truthful. You know, and that's really important. That's really important to be. We started this whole conversation on truthfulness, and because you know you love each other, which you really do, it's so apparent that you will always be kind to each other, and that's so apparent as well. And that's what we need in life. That's what we need in life. So another thing. Any questions? More questions about relationships?
Sometimes it's difficult though to be away from somebody like this, even temporarily, and you don't know why. Like take my case, you know, that I'm separated, but I'm living with my ex until we sell the house. And that has been a situation for 4 years, and it's very difficult, like you said. I want to keep away, but unfortunately I can't, and I think I'm coming to accept that I've got to learn many things from it, and that's why the universe is not allowing this to yet resolved. Sometimes I feel I'm very close to it, and it's very, very hard. And like you said, sometimes it weakens you, obviously, when it's for a long time, because you can't afford to move until that situation is resolved. But it's difficult, but you just, you know, when it prolongs for a long time, sometimes, you know, you see the signs and you say, right, what do I have to learn? I thought I've learned compassion and, you know, like you said, I don't like him, the way he treats me and whatever, and all of this, but yet I love, you know, I feel sorry for him, I love him as a person or as an individual, and he brings nice feelings inside, those of compassion towards him, because we think, gosh, if he's acting like that, he must be going through absolute hell in his world, which is why you know, we split. But it's very difficult sometimes at the moment. I feel and I sense that I'm very close. Maybe I'm learning what I need to learn, but it's not quite happening, and it goes on and on. I'm thinking, well, I've got faith it's going to resolve soon. And then I'm thinking, what if he doesn't? Another 3 years?
I think you're very brave to do what you're doing for so long.
It's very difficult.
What about finding a new place to stay till? Can you get a little tiny apartment?
No, I know that we couldn't, because on the contrary, you know, we've got far too much debt in the house, and without going into the detail, but I'm trapped there. He's trapped there. None of us want to be there, but we have no alternative, because we can't even pay for that, but we can't pay anything else anyway until that sells. So all we can do is just do our endeavours, reduce price, whatever, just, you know, to facilitate. But it's very difficult. But then I'm thinking, like you said, you know, I'm doing all I can, and if I've got to reduce, I reduce. If I've got to deal with this, I deal with it. I keep the house well. I'm trying to be, you know, not conflictive, just, you know, impact everything. And the rest you've got to leave to the universe and say, well, I'm doing all I can and no more. And I hold it, and I hold it through faith, like you said earlier on, because I know and I accept, and I've got faith that there is a reason why I'm going through that. Sometimes I don't, but, you know, sometimes you become weak and you doubt.
Yes.
But that's momentarily. And deep down, I know that I've got to do this. And the moment that this is, you know, I've got to move on, the house will sell. It cannot just be like that forever. It's a lovely place.
It will sell.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Sometimes you're forced to be in okay, I've got a choice. I could go to Barcelona, live with my mother and walk away from my whole life. But deep down it's not what I want, you know. And I want something simple, something small, something, and to me, a tiny little studio, which is probably available to most people, for me would be paradise, and I can't have it. You know, I'm stuck with this huge, massive house that I don't love anymore, and I did one day when we lived as a family. But I know that it's just something that, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, but within me, I know that I've got to stick to it. With all the words and the...
You have to follow what you have to follow, and if you feel you have to stick to it. But my advice would be, if it destroys you, your peace, then take your, just
Give
move,
it up.
just
Let
move
the
out.
house go.
Yeah,
Yeah.
let the
Let it
house
Give
go.
it back.
Ask him already. I was going to say, speak to them. They were so attached to the house.
We have to
I'm
let
not
the house
attached to
go.
the house at all. On the contrary, I'm completely detached. It's not the house itself, but the house is full of huge debt I cannot pay
Let it go.
ever.
Let it go.
Give it back
That's
to
what
the
we
bank.
did.
Yeah.
Yeah, but there's so much at stake. You know, I mean, giving it back
Your
to the
peace,
bank
your
at this
health,
moment.
your
No, that's why I'm
sanity.
trying to keep sort of, you know, with that a little bit. It's like out of proportion, you know. The debt is there's a lot of debt, but not in proportion to the value of that, you know.
Can I just...
What I'm saying is that I'm already got it in the market for probably almost a third of its values. So, you know, and the bank is less than 50% of what remains. So it needs to be resolved in the appropriate way, because the mortgage is minute in comparison to the whole value.
But what about
But
if you
although
get
it's minute, it's huge for us at this moment.
but
in
if you
time.
get a studio and he gets somebody else renting a room or two, that will pay for your studio.
It wouldn't pay for the debt. That's the problem.
No, but the money-wise at the moment, monthly, there's always different solutions for you to not be under the same roof. I can see loads of different solutions.
I've considered. I mean, without going into detail,
Yeah.
this is not.
Yeah.
I would be
I have done that, and I've looked into that.
Can I say something? Through Steve and Karen, I was introduced by a woman called Myra, and she is in Sabanias. She is a lawyer, but she is a lawyer more in the extreme way, like doing research in what's going on in the whole banking system. And there has been a lot of corruption within the banking world and all the mortgages. Well, she took a lot of cases from clients who lost a lot of money because of the whole system, and she won every single case for her client, getting money back from the bank.
I know, but that's not my case. That,
No,
you know, I
sure,
don't have the
it's
issues
true.
with my bank because of the bank. It's been this and that. I mean, it's just a situation. It's not the bank or anything. I'm a lawyer for banks as well, and I know about, you know, about this. It's just what I'm saying is that sometimes, you know, in my case, I think I'm voluntarily staying there, of course, and I could commit with something and then leave that, because if I rented my house, the money I would get on the rent would aggravate, I think, the problems, because not only I wouldn't have enough to repay the debt, I would commit for a long time, and it would be burning inside me, knowing that you know, there's a constant breakage, they need money for, I mean, if the rent income is not enough to pay for the upkeeping of the place, it needs to go. And I am in the process of accepting, of letting it, you know, for ridiculous low price, etc., which we're going, and that's why I think that we'll get there soon. And maybe his attitude is getting a little bit better. But equally, I know it would disturb my peace to, if I have to become in the street, I'll become in the street, but I'm not there yet. You know, it just, it's not been the case, and it's not near that case. And I know that even if I walked away from that house, I would still have that problem because I own that with him, and we've got debt, and we've got costs to go, and we've got the work of all our lives, you know. And I know it's not just money, but it's doing things right, you know.
If you feel in your heart that you have to do things that way, and you have to, as you are saying you feel it, and you are accepting it, then there's no problem. If you have the odd day that you feel bad, there's no problem. But if you are constantly feeling bad, and if you're constantly feeling it,
no, because I make the most of it. I'm very inwardly, and that's why I'm working on myself. Because sometimes it's not just the house; it's the whole situation. You see, I need to move on with my life from the house, from my ex, from everything, to feel free from everything.
You know, when you take that step, I know you're not ready now, but it's like Gurudev says, when the pot is hot enough, you will let it go. And when you do, you will feel so light.
Exactly.
You and then you would think, why didn't I do this 2 years ago? Why didn't I? Because it's eating you, you know. We've been in this situation, it eats you. Not every day.
So have they.
You know,
so many people, so have you. Yeah, it is.
So light.
I've left, and that's why, you know, I've obviously made the decision a long time ago and let go of the house as such. I'm not attached to it, and I'm not attached to many things I used to before.
So you've grown a lot from this learning.
I have.
You have grown a lot from this. The pain has made you grow and get detached from the house. So when you are ready, you will drop it.
Exactly.
And you know what? You'll be so happy. The day, I remember when you had to lose your house, wasn't it the same, but this, but that? And I used to tell them, yes, I know you owe this, and I know you drop it and be happy. Just leave it. You know, what can you do?
At the moment, it's not
hard.
an impossible situation. It's just a difficult situation that obviously.
But you understand
because
it's
of that
difficult.
situation, you have to face a person that is hostile for a long time, and it does. I can understand how it weakens you. Some days more than others, because of course you've got to juggle with that.
I don't know how you do it. I told you that. You know, I said, I really don't know how you do this every day. For me, it would not be possible, but you must be much stronger than me to deal with this every single day, to live in a hostile environment. You know?
But that's also something she knows.
Yeah, but she knows and she's aware and she can do
Yeah,
it.
but letting it go, she can't because she doesn't know what will happen. So
It's
you
not
can
that
see it
I
from
don't
2
know
points.
what will happen.
Absolutely.
But it's just that somehow I've come down an awful lot in many ways.
So you were saying that, okay, I understand what you're saying.
Calm down in many
This situation has made her humble in many ways. Would you
in
say
many
that?
ways. I
In
don't
many ways.
expect, I mean, if I had a grand life, I don't want that anymore. I'm not interested in it. It's not my target and goal. I just want something simple. But if I do this correctly, I'll have enough to make it simple and nice and you know, that's what I'm saying.
Good.
You know, but
Yeah.
so
I
I'm
can see what
accepting
you
in proportion probably to what you have, because it all is in proportion, you know. If I had a property that is worth 2.3 million and the mortgage is 400,000 and I'm ready to let it go at 800, 700 even, but something that gives you a tiny little, you know, but it would be completely out if I had to let it go for 400, but fine, you know, but that in a way at this moment in time, it would disturb my peace.
So you know yourself.
You know,
She knows herself.
But if I bought something that I can't pay that mortgage, but the house has dropped in value and there's no, like many people are caught in that situation.
Yeah, me too.
You know, that's not my situation at all.
My
It just that's why I've got to stick to it.
So you see, so you're very clear.
You know what
So
I mean?
there's no problem.
I'm very clear that I've got to stick to it, but
Yes,
it's
you're
hard.
very clear.
But it's
But it's not going to be easy.
But exactly that you need to juggle with
But
a
you see,
personal
in
relationship.
life, this is life. This is the life we live in. Decisions aren't easy, but you have to know what you want. So you see, for me, like I said, I really could never do what you're doing, but you can do it. You know what you want, you know what your final goal is.
I use my house to go to sleep. I mean, I don't have a living house as such. In the last 4 years, I've been living with
Now
a
you're
suitcase in
contradicting
my
yourself.
car.
Now you're contradicting yourself.
Yeah.
Now you're contradicting yourself.
Maybe.
Just few more seconds ago, you said you were accepting the situation,
Yes.
and the situation. That's why I said I don't know how you can live with such a situation. But now you're contradicting as you're feeling a bit. You can feel your sadness.
Right.
I can feel your sadness when you say,
Of course.
yeah. So what they are saying to you is, if it's creating so much in you, why not just get a little studio, stay a little while alone? I mean, leave the situation as it is. You can still have that house on sale. You can just get yourself a tiny little place just to tie you over through this difficult period. Would it be possible to do that? Not enough income to do that.
Can I say one thing? Our hell was, while there was still a possibility, there was always the, yeah, but if this goes through, then, yeah, but if this goes through, then, oh, it just dragged out and dragged out and dragged, and then we came to a point where there was no option anymore. It was like, boom, keys in. Once we left it, she never looked back at all, and suddenly our life, our life opened up.
I can understand.
I think we'll change this now, because we
sorry.
can go on for hours on something.
That's why I didn't want to. I mean, it was,
I think we can go into a long discussion. And Monica had something to say. She's had her hand up there in like 10 minutes, you know. Yes.
Year 2000, I left my comfortable house in Estonia. My ex didn't bother me much. It was, quite a peaceful situation. I left everything, zero. Gloves in a suitcase. I came here. I lived on pennies in Cortes de la Frontera, and I would do it again for the sake of it. The health problems just disappeared. The energy level that had dropped over the last few years of marriage went sky high. So it's a wonderful remedy to find the strength to leave everything behind. It doesn't matter the age, I would do it again.
Thank you. Thank you for
So
that.
would I.
Yeah, that's the thing you have to look at, because we never know when our last moment is, and no matter how difficult a situation, there is always a solution, but maybe the solution is not what you would be ideal. It may not be ideal, and sometimes you have to take the not so ideal situation. But when you put the situation as, tomorrow I could be dead, would I like to live a little before I die? I would take the peaceful, easeful decision, and this is what they were saying. So you see two sides. But the side that you can understand, that it's taught you to be a lot more humble. It's taught you to, in the face of hostility, to maintain your peace. It's wonderful that you've learned that. And you can see that you've learned that. So you know why this whole situation has come to you. It's wonderful you can see it. And I think it's because you can see it, you can still live it. Otherwise you couldn't. If you couldn't see that, you couldn't live that. You'd be going crazy by now. It's a very difficult situation. So now that you can see it and you learn your lesson, what's the next? Once you learn your lesson, you can progress to the next one now.
I feel it within me.
You will get the permission to leave it now.
I know it's the time coming.
Yeah, the time. Now you have to make a decision, because God helps those who help themselves. And it is a difficult market, and there's so much for sale. And so you have to see, you just said the magic words to yourself. If I had to do this for 3 more years?
No, I couldn't.
Correct.
I know my
There's your
limits.
answer.
I know
Listen
my
to that.
limits.
Did you say it very clearly?
Mm-hmm.
Why wait 3 years?
No, I wouldn't.
If I could do it for, I couldn't. Yeah, there's some kind of, you're hearing yourself, hear that, what you're saying. And then as soon as, if you hear it very clearly, then you'll inspire yourself to create a new situation for yourself. Whatever it may be, and you'll be ready. But I think you have learned all the lessons you need to learn. Sometimes people stay back and learn more than they need to learn. And as I've seen so many battered women in my life, or men as well these days, many battered men as well, and I said, why did you let it go on for so long? Why did you allow yourself to be treated so bad for so long? Because they thought, I always thought something might change. Tomorrow the opportunity would come. He would change tomorrow. But tomorrow never came, until they got so beaten up. One of the people that I used to know, she actually got the husband, she took so long in leaving him that he became totally obsessed by her, that when she finally left him, escaped to London with the help of a lawyer, he actually went to look for her and killed her. So this is yeah. So these extreme cases do happen. So the question is, how long do you take something for? At what expense? And it's only you can answer to you. But once you've learned your lesson, don't wait too long to make the solution happen. God helps those who help themselves. Where is God but within ourselves? So the action has to come from us. You've got the faith, you've got the magic, and something will happen now. But you have to make a positive decision, because the decision to stay there and learn has been there. You've done it. You've learned the lesson. What to learn next?
I haven't been stuck as such.
So good. Then you know. Then you know you're not stuck. But listen to that inner voice that tells you I couldn't do it for much longer because we don't want you sick. You're too wonderful and too nice to get sick. Huh? So just think about what you said, because your situation is not an easy one. So any other questions? Anything you would like to say about relationships? For me, relationships, it's really important to keep the interest in each other. To keep the interest in each other. A lot of relationships fall apart after 3 or 4 years because they become selfish. What's in it for me? You have to do this for me. It's all about me. But when you keep an interest in another person and what they're doing with their life and what new visions they may have and what new ideas they may have, and you keep listening and you keep learning and you keep hearing words and be interested in what they're saying. You see, what I find happens a lot in relationships when I see 2 people sitting in front of me and I learn so much from them. I thank all the couples that I've seen because they taught me a lot. Let's say the woman's trying to tell the man something. He hasn't heard half of what she said. He's maybe heard the tail end, and he'll say, "You see, I told you that." And I'll say to him, "That's not what she said. Did you hear the first sentence she said?" And he didn't hear it. And then I go to the wife. The same thing she does to the husband. He will talk, and she'll go, pick on what she's heard. And I said, "But he didn't say that. He actually said this and finished with this, but you didn't remember at all what he said. I don't mean to hurt you, but I really like to do this job, and that's why I get angry with you, because you seem upset that I like to do this job." Why, you see, you're always saying that I get upset. No, he said he's trying to tell you that he loves to do this work. But you don't care that he loves to do his work. You want him to do something else to please you. Did you hear what he's saying? You're not listening to what he's saying. And you're not hearing what she's saying. She doesn't understand anything about your work. She doesn't understand the dynamism of what you're doing. Explain it to her. Make her interested. Do you see, there's such miscommunication. There's no interest. Each one is thinking about themselves. As I say, do you ever do anything? Do you ever go home? Do you ever go after work and think, you must have had, your partner has had a bad day. Why don't you bring some surprise in? Do you ever go home with a box of chocolates or flowers or a little gift just to make them smile? No. Did you do that the first year you were engaged? Yes. So why have you stopped now? Why have you stopped now? You see, we start to be very selfish once we start getting into a relationship. And I think for relationships to work, keep it interesting. Keep it, and have your own interest. I think, Khalil Gibran got it perfectly when he said, be like 2 pillars of a temple. They're each separate. Without either of them, the temple will fall. But they're separate in their own right. Do not eat of the same loaf. What did he mean? Love each other, but have your own interests. What happens is people always, and I've seen this happen, two dynamic people get into a relationship, and one person starts giving up all, or the other person, they both start giving up what they love to do just to be with each other. They give up all the things they love to do. And so what happens, the relationship gets very tiring, very boring. What you should do is keep up your own interests so that you have lots of things to talk about at the end of the day. Keep each other's dreams alive by encouraging each other. And you will find a relationship becomes really rich and very interesting. I was never interested in finance, never. But I tell you one thing, when I learned to be interested in it, I really missed my husband, because now I know nothing about the FTSE or what's bull on the market or bearish in the market. I used to know it every day. Oh, you should buy dollars today, you should buy this today, and these commodities have gone up, and yeah, maybe no use in my life, but really quite interesting, to see how, I used to tell them all the time, this is all a made up world, because this economics, who says that it has to be this, this price? Who puts the price in? It's all a bunch of nonsense. And he would laugh with me. I said, today it's worth so much, tomorrow it's worth nothing. But I learned a lot about human behavior through learning about the markets. And when you show interest in somebody, suddenly they'll show interest in you. That's another secret I learned. Oh yeah, and how was your yoga class today? And how was Shanti? And how was Mangala? All these strange Sanskrit names. But there's an interest, you see, because you build an interest in somebody else, they become to build an interest in you. So I think we need to keep relationships alive like that. That's one of the rules that we keep forgetting after we've been together for a few years. Always keep it alive. Always remember to say you love someone. Always remember. Our beloved Sue. Some of you know Sue and Giorgio. How many of you know Sue and Giorgio? Yeah. Oh, Giorgio passed away in his sleep. You don't know when it's going to happen. They had a beautiful relationship. At least, I spoke to her on the phone the other day. Of course she's going through hell. But she said, Nalanie, I remember your words, better to have loved and lost than never to have loved at all. And I said, yeah, and you had a really good marriage. They did, didn't they?
Yeah,
They had their retirement years. Both of them were retired, but all the time together. Great, because that's what you do in retirement years. And still he had his own interest. He had his golf, so he always went golf. And in the end, they both did lots of things. They played golf together, they did yoga together, they came to the talks together. But that was both of their interests, so they both became alive. These two are always alive with their spirituality. That's why, when it's both your interests and you do the same thing together, it becomes dynamic, it becomes fun. But otherwise, have your own interest as well. Don't get sticky, gluey, because then you lose yourself. Yeah, then you lose yourself. Don't lose yourself. Also in a relationship, please learn to be kind to each other. Kindness is a very simple thing to do. Be kind. Be considerate. Do acts of kindness. Little acts of kindness every day. It says, your turn to make me a cup of tea. You get up early, just make a cup of tea. What's the big deal? Whose turn it is? So if you do 10 good deeds more than the other, good. You get the mark in your heart. You get the good feeling. Why do you have to compare? Get up. Men, women alike, get up. You don't have to wait to be told to wash the dishes. Just get up and wash them. Just get up and do things. Stop counting. Start being kind to each other. And for me, I see kindness is very lacking in relationships today. People are not kind in their relationships. They're very abrupt and full of expectation. Every word is an expectation. You're this, you're my wife, you should do this. You're my husband, you should do this. You should do. You're my wife, you should do. I realize nobody should do anything for anybody except when it's full of love and kindness and truthfulness. And if you don't feel like doing it, I'm really tired today, I don't feel like doing it. But don't be a martyr and then do it and then scream at the person that you've done it for them. So I think kindness is lacking. I think romance is lacking. I think we've forgotten how to be romantic. We can have fun, male and females alike. Just be romantic. Tell your partner how good they look. Oh, you look great today. Don't you like to be told if you look good? Everybody does. Everybody needs to feel good about themselves. Just because you're grown up and married or just in a relationship for a long time doesn't mean you forget to tell each other how you care about each other. And if they put on weight, tell them, think you put on weight, or you don't look good. You know, I like you this way, you look sexy. I think it's important to be truthful and tell them and get them a goal to work with. I mean, if you're going to do a relationship, you might as well do it well. Otherwise, don't bother, be on your own. You know, really, honestly, be on your own. To live together in hell, I cannot understand. I don't know how many people live together and they're living in hells. They live in hell. I think they live in hell. If you're going to live together, make it a heaven. Make it a heaven because it's our choice. This is where we can change the chip. We can choose to make it a heaven. And hell can become heaven by the way we think and the way we look at things. So that is a decision you make. If you have a difficult situation, but you don't want to move out, and you're not ready to, for example, you know, then you decide, okay, as she said, I accept this. This is what is my choice. I've decided to do it. So now I'm going to see what I can learn from the situation and get better. But within that situation, show yourself kindness and show the other person kindness, because you've made the decision. There's no more blame. You see? But you know what you're doing and you're going in with your eyes open. Really important to do that. Another thing with relationships. Be bold. Don't be afraid of anyone. Don't be afraid to say your truth, please. I talked about it in the beginning, fearfulness. Don't fear anyone. My husband himself always used to tell my children this, you know, when they went to boarding school. And he said, you know, never fear anyone. He said, whenever you fear a teacher, because in boarding school he was telling them teachers can be really horrible, because he went to an English boarding school. I never did, so I didn't know, you know. And he says, every time they put the fear of God in you, you know what? See them sitting on a toilet seat. I thought it was such good advice. And that's what they did, so they would never fear anyone. Let's just see them on a toilet seat.
My mother told me that.
Yes, did you?
From very, very young age.
Make
and
them
I've
go.
applied it in my career a long time, especially when you're in a boardroom with 10 men, bankers, and then me when I was really young and whatever, I would do that straight away. I was never fearful for anybody.
Yeah, it worked.
And that helped me. And then I was thinking of my mother.
Yeah, you see, exactly. And so, and it really, fearfulness is not a good thing.
I know.
Yeah? What? You know, you fearful?
Yeah, nothing.
Is she
It's me on the
fearful?
nose. That's all.
There's also the old adage of, you know, you think you know somebody, and how much do you know somebody? You know what I mean? I think that's always difficult, because you think you know the way that somebody would react, and when they react the way that you don't expect them to, that does make you think.
Absolutely.
It
You
does.
never, you really, yes.
You never know.
You never know. You never know. You really never know.
If you're, you know, if you're the person that's a sort of a giving person and, you know, an empath with other people, and you're always there for somebody else, when in actual fact they're not there for you, that's quite hurtful as well, you know?
Yeah, but that's life.
It is.
Yeah, it is. It is life. And you just have to let that go too.
But if that's in your, that's different when you've got relationships with people or acquaintances and things like that. But if that's the same, if that's your partner, where in actual fact it's all one way and not the other.
Yeah, then I think you really need to tell your partner about how you feel.
Mm.
And that's what I would do. Look, my nature is forgiving, you know, like I had said to my husband, like I said earlier on, you know, I must really love you to know that I, you know, keep telling you this, that's good for you, and you keep screaming at me. Something like stopping to smoke or whatever. I must really love you to get the screaming. But you know what? I think there's a limit to it. And after a while, I'm going to even stop talking to you. I remember once, he was a great guy, and you know, he's taught me a lot. Then once, because I needed to learn to be brave. You see, we all have lessons to learn. We all have situations that have to bring out the best in us. And I remember once he did something that wasn't very nice, you know, to me in front of the children. And I got out, I didn't do a thing. I just went to him and I said, you apologize to your kids right away. I'm not going to leave you, because I love you, but I will not speak to you a word again, and I mean it. And I walked away. And I meant it, and he knows when I make a promise, I keep it. Because once I make a promise, I keep it. He knew me so well, and I said it with such determination. I walked away. 40 minutes later, I went to the bathroom actually, take a bath. That's always my cure. Take a bath, water heals me, close the door, put some nice music, knocks on my door. And not my husband's character to do that. He said, I apologize to the kids. You don't have to keep that promise. Good. Oh, it felt great. And next step was from that day on, him and my kids communicated so beautifully. So beautifully from that day on. So, it was a great lesson. Sometimes you have to be very strong at the same time and not forgiving, which I wasn't. I said, I'm not going to leave you because I love you. I know that, but I'm not going to take the situation. And after that, when father apologized to his son, it was a big thing for the son to hear the apology. And then they both started talking, best friends. After that, every time they disagreed, I'd say, you speak, don't get me in the middle. Don't want to get involved. It's between you two, nothing to do with me, And it worked. So, have to be really quite tough sometimes. When things are enough, they're enough. In your heart you can forgive, but you can pretend you're not forgiving. It's okay. Because sometimes people have to learn a lesson. It's like your people at the hospital said, you're too soft, they won't listen anymore. If you're always so forgiving, they'll keep stepping on you. So you can be forgiving inside, but pretend not to be on the outside. That would be my advice. Because sometimes, I don't know why relationships you have to play such a lot of games, mind games. It's really odd that we have to do so many mind games. I say, why can't people just become so simple? I mean, you can see an action is wrong, it's wrong. Just say sorry and just change it, right? Why don't people change? And I realize it's the ego. It's a thing. I'm better than you, or I have to be right. It's all based on ego. All of it's based on ego. But if you have a spiritual relationship and you have kindness, if you do something wrong and you just say sorry, the other person will just hug you and it's over and finished. It really is, like in 30 seconds. Because that's all they want to hear. And if you don't know who's wrong and who's right, don't insist you're right. Just say we agree to disagree. That's all you have to say. We agree to disagree. Finished. Done. It happens all the time. I can see your point of view, but this is not my point of view. But I can see your point of view. But this is not my point of view. Truthful, to the point, and let's finish. Since we're never going to see eye to eye, let's drop it. Accept that they have the point of view. And these are little things in relationships that will make it so rich, will make you so rich, will make you so happy. And there are times, spaces. Remember, all relationships need spaces. Give yourself space. Have separation time. Time to be on your own for 2 or 3 days to think. Sometimes relationships need 2 or 3 weeks away from each other. Just because, when you're with somebody all the time, it can be a little tiring. It's not because you don't love them. I think you really love them when you know when you need a space, get the space. Better to have 2 or 3 days of space than a lifetime of anger. So take spaces in your relationship. I think it's really important. I had lots of spaces in mine, and I'm sure that's why my marriage works so well. Because, when I used to travel and come back, it was a different energy altogether. My husband even learned to buy vegetables for me, which he never did. I actually never knew the difference between broccoli and cauliflower till 2 years before he died. Do you know that? He said, I think I bought you the right thing. You love broccoli. I bought you broccoli. Wow, you bought me broccoli. It's baby steps. Different, because in the Indian tradition, the woman was supposed to do it all. And then he met this woman who was quite independent and wanting to be herself. Poor guy, he had a lot to cope with. I wasn't the norm. I was a rebel. In my own tradition, I wanted to study, I wanted to learn, I wanted to be independent. You can't blame him for that too. He married this 21-year-old who he thought he could mold and make who he wanted to be, and I couldn't be molded. And all the Indian women he knew before me were molded. Do you see what I'm saying? So you have to understand their point of view and your point of view. And I was sent to educate him as well, that, you know, women are just as good as men. So everything is there's a reason, and you know, our generation is a breaking generation. That's why we have so many breakups in marriages, because we're breaking all the norms. All the men are supposed to do this, women are supposed to be like this. We're breaking all the boxes. We're all becoming ourselves. It's actually becoming a better world subtly if we can see the reasons why it's happening. Women are learning to respect themselves, and men are having to learn to respect women also. It's not easy for them. They've seen their mothers take all the nonsense, so that's all they've known. Do you see? It's not a fault, it's a growth. It's a growth. We're all growing together. And if we can see that growth, kindness, and allow it, and give it space, it can grow beautifully. Can grow beautifully. It'll never be perfect. No relationship can be. Because two different people, two different vritti minds, you know. Everybody sees the world differently. We're never going to get us to see it alike. But what we can see alike is that higher self you mentioned, the beauty in all of us, the love that we have, you know, the kindness that we have, and that we can see in each other. And if you continuously do kind acts with great strength, and continuously fight for the no nonsense. I'm not going to take this nonsense. I don't deserve it. I am a human being. Then you won't get it. But if you accept the nonsense, and you accept people to treat you badly and say, oh, I'm so forgiving, then you deserve it. Forgiveness is one thing. Taking rubbish is another. Forgiveness is the most beautiful tool. Do not take something that you don't deserve. You know, Gurudev once said something to me that just really changed my world. I think I've told you this story, and I'll finish with this story. You know, when he came here to Rhonda, we went to the church. I took him to the big cathedral there. Have you been to Rhonda, to the cathedral there?
Yeah, it's beautiful.
It's lovely, right? Anyway, there was a confession box there, and he calls me, Nalanie, come. I thought, oh my God. My first thought in my head, what have I done wrong? What have I done wrong? So, you know, I actually walked like this. You know, I could see it afterwards. Walk like this to the confession box, and he's gone inside. And he looks at me and goes, how dare you call yourself a sinner? You are a child of God. And he said it in that force. It blew me. Because that's how I'd entered. That's how I walked towards him, thinking, what did I do wrong? That means I was always thinking, then what did I do wrong? Always thinking I was doing something wrong. That was so deeply ingrained in me, I hadn't even noticed. So the other thinking, I am a child of God. Why am I thinking I'm always doing something wrong? And I realized that was in my brain. When anybody called me to any kind of attention, what have I done wrong? But it's what have I done right? I never looked at that. We need to look at that too. What are we doing that is right? What is our partner doing that is right? Let's look at their best qualities. Let's fine-tune their best qualities. Even if you feel you can't see it, pick it out. Go with a microscope, a magnifying glass. Look for their best qualities and pick it up. Just find a good quality. Say, I love that you're so smart in this. I love that you're so attractive. I love that you're like this. I love that you bring me a cup of tea every morning. I love, just tell them those lovely things. You're not lying, you're saying the truth, and you're making them feel really good every day. No, feel good. When you feel good, you want to do more. You just want to do more for that person. And that's my advice on relationships. You will have arguments, you will have times that are not going to go right. Great, they add some movement to life. If you look at the sea every day and it's still, you're going to get bored. Don't you love a rough sea on a stormy day? It's interesting. And think of it as a movie. Think of it as a movie. Don't get caught. take yourself out. You're going to have this movie in your life, make it fun, make it beautiful. And one day when it's too beautiful, pick an argument, have some fun. And makes it interesting. And you can really enjoy life like that. You really can. And that's the secret of a relationship. And I wish you all beautiful relationships in your life. God bless you all. Really, God bless you all. So nice to see you again.